All right, welcome to your deep dive.
Hmm.
This time we're taking a look at Chapter 2 of A Separate Piece
Nice.
by John Knowles. And, I think we got to talk about Finney and Jean,
Yeah.
right? I mean, their whole dynamic, especially with World War II going on,
Hmm.
it's huge. So how about
Let's break it down.
yeah, let's break it down and see how Knowles really sets the stage here.
It's interesting because Knowles really drops us right into this perfect world, Devon school, right?
Mhm.
But from the get-go, you can feel this tension. Like he's putting Finney, this carefree, rebellious guy, right next to Jean, who's more thoughtful, cautious.
Totally. Like two sides of the same coin, almost.
Yeah.
You've got Finney rocking a pink shirt to a formal
I
dinner
know, right?
and saying it's for the war effort.
What do you think Knowles is doing there with that color, especially in this like super strict uniform place? Oh, the pink is definitely important. I think it shows how Finney just defies all the norms. He refuses to fit in with what Devon expects. And pink, well, it's often seen as feminine. So in a way, Finney's embracing stuff that's usually considered like unmanly in this very masculine world of a boys' school getting ready for war.
And that's where their differences really hit hard. Gene just can't stand how Finney gets away with everything. He's even jealous of it, don't you think?
Oh, absolutely. Jean sees that charisma of Finney's as like a superpower or something, a way to bend the rules without consequences. And it's the opposite of Jean. Jean overthinks everything, follows all the rules, which makes him feel totally inadequate compared to Finney just coasting through.
And all of this is happening with World War II hanging over their heads.
Mhm.
They might be surrounded by this perfect little world, but the war is always there. Like when Finney just casually mentions the bombing of Central Europe.
It's almost like he's trying to, I don't know, make it less serious. Like maybe it helps him deal with the anxiety of knowing that their carefree days are numbered. But at the same time, it just highlights how fragile their world is. This little bubble they've got at Devon, it can't protect them forever.
And that leads us to the big turning point in this chapter,
Mm.
the tree incident. Knowles describes it in a way that you feel the danger, almost like a hint of something worse to come. What do you make of that Suicide Society pact Finney comes up with?
Oh, it's classic Finney, using humor and crazy stunts to cover up a deeper fear. On the surface, it's just another one of his wild ideas, but, like, symbolically, it shows that threat of death that's hanging over them, even in this supposedly safe place like Devon.
And then, boom, the fall. Gene loses his balance and Finney saves him. But even in this moment, where they should be, buddies, there's this feeling of unease, especially when Gene talks about how it took him a while to even realize how dangerous it was.
Yeah, that delayed reaction, that's key. It makes you wonder if there's something more going on in Gene's mind. Like, could part of him have actually wanted to see Finney fall?
Whoa. That's a really interesting thought. It makes you question their whole friendship, doesn't it? Especially when you remember that Gene feels a stab of disappointment when Finney smooth talks his way out of trouble with the headmaster after wearing his school tie as a belt.
Exactly. It shows this darker side to Gene. It's like his admiration for Finney has this resentment mixed in, maybe even a subconscious wish to see him taken down a peg. It makes you wonder if this whole innocent rivalry thing could actually turn into something much darker.
It's like the closer Gene gets to Finney, the more those cracks show in Finney's, perfect image. Like that whole thing with the tie as a belt at the headmaster's tea party.
Oh, yeah.
Such a blatant rule break. And Finney just spins this crazy story about it being, like, related to the war effort.
Right.
It's ridiculous,
Yeah.
but somehow he makes it work.
He's got this crazy knack for twisting things to fit his own story. And he's so convincing about it. Even the adults, like Mr. Patchwithers, they're just totally thrown off. It's like Finney lives by a different rule book. Like consequences don't even apply to him.
And that's got to be super frustrating for Gene, right?
Yeah.
He's always trying to do the right thing, follow the rules. It's like he's constantly being compared to Finney's, like, effortless charm and always falling short.
Yeah, it's almost like Gene is stuck in Finney's shadow trying to figure out who he is next to this larger-than-life personality. And that, I think, is the heart of their conflict. Gene admires Finney, but he also resents him. He wants to be like him, but he also wants to, like, expose him, show the flaws that are hiding underneath.
Which is why that moment when Finney gets off scot-free is so important. It shows us that Gene might actually want to see Finney fail.
Yeah, exactly. It's subtle, but it's a big deal. It hints at this possible conflict brewing between them, and you start to wonder, could Gene's resentment lead him to, I don't know, betray Finney somehow?
Especially when you think about what Gene's thinking at the end of the chapter. He starts wondering if Finney's just acting nice, like it's all calculated to manipulate people. He even calls Finney's charm a subtle form of revenge on the world. Pretty intense stuff.
It is. It's a really cold observation. It shows how cynical Gene's become. It's like he's taking his own insecurities and dumping them on Finney, seeing him as a threat instead of a friend. And that change, how he sees Finney, is crucial because it sets up everything that's going to happen in the rest of the book.
And then there's that last line. Finney never left anything alone, not when it was well enough, not when it was perfect.
Yeah.
It's almost like, uh-oh, something bad's going to happen.
Yeah, it speaks to Finney's, his restless energy. He always has to push things, challenge the way things are. But it also hints that maybe he'll self-destruct, Like there's this tragic flaw in him that could be his downfall.
This is all making their friendship seem kind of doomed. I mean, can a relationship built on all this admiration and resentment really survive everything that's coming their way?
Yeah.
Especially with the war looming over them.
That's the question Knowles leaves us with, right? Will their friendship be strong enough to make it through the pressure of a world at war? Or will those cracks just keep getting bigger until everything breaks apart?
It's a question that goes beyond just these characters, I think. I mean, haven't we all felt those complicated feelings in friendships? The admiration, the envy, even a little resentment sometimes.
Yeah. What this chapter shows us is that even the strongest bonds can be tested. And sometimes the people we're closest to can be the ones who hurt us the most.
That's a heavy thought. But it's important. It makes you realize how fragile connections are and how we need to value them while they last.
And it also makes us look at our own motives in our relationships. Are we really there for our friends? Or are we, deep down, hoping to see them mess up?
Those are some questions to think about for sure, especially as we keep diving into the drama of A Separate Piece. We've been digging deep into Gene and Finney's friendship, but I think we need to step back for a sec and look at the bigger picture. What's this chapter telling us about, like, the whole human experience?
Well, one thing's for sure, it's showing us that things aren't always what they seem. Daven's school with its perfect campus and, this carefree vibe, it's like a utopia. But underneath it all, there's this tension, this darkness that feels like it's about to explode. It reminds us that even in the most perfect places, conflict and trouble are always there lurking.
Yeah, it's like Knowles is saying that innocence is fragile. Like it can be shattered just like that. And when that happens, you get this feeling of disillusionment. You realize the world isn't as simple or fair as you thought it was.
Right. And that disillusionment, it can make you cynical, resentful, even wanting to see others fail. We see that in Gene, how he starts thinking Finney's niceness is fake.
Makes you wonder how much of what Gene sees in Finney is just his own insecurities coming out. Is Finney really manipulative, or is Gene just projecting his own issues onto his friend?
That's what's so great about Knowles' writing. He doesn't give us easy answers. He makes us face the fact that people are complicated. We're all capable of good and bad.
And then there's the war, this
Huh?
big dark cloud hanging over everything. Even though the boys at Devon are kind of shielded from the actual fighting, the war's always there. It shapes how they talk, what they're afraid of, what they think about the future.
The war is like this constant reminder that the world outside Devon is dangerous, a place where the rules are different, where your actions have real consequences that you can't just charm your way out of. And it makes you wonder how these boys who've been so protected will handle it when they finally have to face what war is really like.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with something to think about. Think about the people in your own life, your friends, your rivals, the ones who inspire you and the ones who challenge you. Are you seeing them for who they really are, or are your own biases and insecurities getting in the way?
And how do those perceptions affect you, your actions, your words, how you interact with the world?
Because in the end, A Separate Piece isn't just a story about two boys at boarding school. It's about how complicated human relationships are, how fragile innocence is, and the impact of our choices. It's a story that speaks to all of us no matter where we're from or what we're going through. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.